Let's talk about the Real Housewives of Miami reunion, okay? It was a three-parter. It went down. And let's talk about the ladies. So I'm going to go down each one and give my thoughts. And I want to know what you guys are thinking. So comment down below. Say hi. Where are you watching from? Who was the best dress? Who was the worst dress? Whose side are you on? I want to know. Sound off in the comments, okay? Now, let's start out with Adriana. Adriana basically said 3 words in her entire reunion. She was barely there. I think, okay, Adriana. And then at the end, she did the Bible quote, which I thought was a bit of a reach. I don't like it when they sort of commercialize or sort of exploit the Bible for whatever weird narrative they're trying to create. But for me, Adriana, she was just there at the reunion. She didn't really say or do much. Throughout the season, I want to see a happier Adriana. I feel like she kind of needs to let her vendetta against Alexia and Marisol go. I get it. They were mean girls last season. I get it. They used to be friends. They're not friends anymore. But there comes a time where being so bitter and resentful toward people who, quote, did you wrong, it's like drinking the poison, expecting them to die. So Adriana needs to stop it. Trying to bring Anna in, that was a big fail. She just is looking very bitter and very petty. I'm not saying you have to forgive and forget, because I'm not like that. I forgive, but I never forget. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for her own self, so she doesn't look so worn out and tainted and bitter, let it go. I'm not saying you have to forget what they did to you and all that stuff, but you need to let it go so you can flourish in whatever you're doing. Now, Lisa. Girl, when Gertie called her the mascot, I lived when Gertie called her the mascot for Lisa. For Larsa. I still think that Lisa and Lenny, I think they love it. I think they love reveling in the toxicity in their relationship and the bitterness of the relationship and the unhealthiness of the relationship. Why else are they drawing out this divorce? Why are they going to court? Why is he going back on everything? And I think Lisa loves it. I think she loves it. I don't think she's in love with Lenny because I don't think their love is healthy love. I think she's addicted to the abuse. I think she's addicted to the cycle of victim, perpetrator, victim, perpetrator. I think they both are addicted to it. And I think that Lisa, in her hearts of hearts, wants to get back with Lenny if she could. That's what I think if Lenny would take her back, she would go all the way back to him. I don't buy her and Jody at all. I think Jody is a piggy bank for her. That's just, again, my opinion. And I think that he's a good distraction. And Jody's hands allegedly aren't clean. Allegedly, he had a whole fiance right before he met Lisa. A whole fiance, wedding page, ready to go, everything ready to go. And it just seemed like she is, I'm going to say it, I'm not being mean, but I feel like she's using him for comfort. I think she's using him to subsidize her life. And I'm not judging this. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying that if you're in a relationship with a man or a woman and that person is able to subsidize your lifestyle, that they shouldn't, or there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that. I don't judge people for that. I'm just saying what I think is going on here. But I do think that Lisa is still addicted to the toxicity of her relationship with Lenny. And I still think that her self-worth is tied up into when Lenny validates her or invalidates her. I don't think that she is over him or has broken free of that cycle yet. Now, when it comes to Lisa versus Kiki, I'm team Kiki all day long. Kiki read her for filth and she was 100% correct. Lisa forgot where she came from and got very, very bougie and better than you and I'm this and I'm that. And she tries it with Kiki because she thinks she can. People like Lisa, who aren't really about that life, who aren't really tough, they pretend and they arch up and they try the people that they think they can try. That's why Kiki said everybody in this room said that you shouldn't be feeding the dogs and, basically maligning a whole culture of people, putting them down. But when I said just be nice or that's not nice, you jump up all in my face, you get up and you swear at me. Why do you disrespect me that way when you don't do it to all the other ladies? It's because Lisa thinks she can. She's like, Kiki's single, Kiki's black, Kiki doesn't have as much money as the rest of us. And when I say black, I think Lisa is racist? No, I don't mean that. What I mean is there are institutionalized, unconscious biases that people have. Everybody has them. I have them myself. If you're a human being on this planet, you have unconscious bias on some level. You have different levels of awareness, you have different levels of it, but you have some type of unconscious bias. It's just a part of the human condition. Doesn't make you a racist person. It just makes you a person who has lived in a society that has racism in it. Okay? So I do think that with Lisa, there is unconscious biases, very similar to like Dorit on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. When Garcelle called her an unconscious Karen, she hit the nail on the head. We're not saying these people are outright racist, but they do have that Karen-ness about them. You know, where it's like, I'm going to try the poor black girl because what unconsciously or subconsciously, you don't view her as a threat. You view her as beneath you. And you think that you can. You see what I'm saying? So I do agree with Kiki when she said that. So Lisa, I 100% think she does have these biases against Kiki, and she thinks that she can try her because she thinks that she is the least influential and powerful person, so she can project all of that onto her. Because her little bestie Larsa, to quiet as it's kept, her little bestie Larsa was reading this chick for filth the entire season, and the only thing she said to Larsa was, "Oh, you're mean, Larsa, you're mean." But she jumped up and she quickly found out going after Kiki. And her whole comment about, I can't heal your childhood wounds, I'm not a therapist. Lisa, sweetheart, the number one person in this group who needs a therapist is you, sweetheart. You are going to court with your allegedly narcissistic, abusive husband instead of settling when you have a alleged multi-millionaire boyfriend who's ready to give you the world, yet you're fighting over sticks and stones with Lenny over here. So who's the person who really needs a therapist? Who's the person who attracted a Lenny, stayed with him, and in my opinion, still wants to be with him, but yet you're talking about Kiki's childhood wounds? What happened to you where you think that's all you deserve? And I'm not victim blaming. She's the one who said it. I can't heal your childhood wounds. I'm not a therapist. So she brought the conversation to the table. I'm not victim blaming because I do think that Lisa is a victim of Lenny, but I also think she's a participant of it as well. And both things can be true. You can participate in toxicity and dysfunction and still be a victim of toxicity and dysfunction. They're not mutually exclusive. Usually in domestics like that, it's a combination of both. You participate and you're also a victim of. Doesn't negate that you're a victim. Sometimes it's more or less, but usually it's a combination of both. Doesn't mean she's not a victim because I do think that he does abuse her. That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact. That's my opinion. But I think she participates in the dysfunction of it. So what happened in your childhood, Lisa, where you think a man like Lenny is what you deserve? Because it's not true. It's not. I don't rock with you like that, Lisa. But as a woman, as a human being, you don't deserve to be abused. You do deserve love. You do deserve healthy relationship. Even though you got some issues you need to work out, you don't deserve to be abused. So maybe you need to go get some therapists, work out your childhood issues so you can get a thing we like to call self-esteem. So you're not out here projecting your crap onto beautiful Kiki over here. So you're not projecting your crap onto your children. I don't like to talk about people's kids, but you put them on the show, so we're going to talk about it. You open the door. Your children are on this show talking about cheat days when it comes to eating. You are badgering them over wanting a piece of pizza. You need to check that before your children grow up having eating disorders. and complexes about themselves and their own self-worth and self-esteem. Your children are at home and you're calling the police and things are going back and forth. So, Lisa, you need to clean your whole house out before you're out here throwing shots and darts at Kiki, who, for all intents and purposes, is very mature, very self-aware, very vulnerable, very honest, and very open. And she's better than me because she was ready to forgive you in a heartbeat. And I was like, Kiki, hold up, girl. Like, pump the brakes. Lisa's not the one you want to be chummy with. You see what I'm saying? So, Lisa, you need to heal your childhood wounds. You need to get a therapist for you and your children because you literally are giving them a blueprint for an eating disorder. It broke my heart when your children are talking about cheat days for eating when they're little kids. And making them and shaming them for wanting snacks and pizza and food and this is all you get and all this stuff. You need to check your house, sweetheart, real quick. Lisa, I don't know what's going to keep happening with her and this whole Lenny situation. Her and Jody, I don't know what's going to happen in that situation. Jody seems very, very beta, but even beta men have a limit. My guess is that what happened with Lenny is going to happen with a Jody. I think there's going to be a younger, sexier version of Lisa that comes along who wants Jody's money and is going to seduce him or whatever you want to call it. And he's going to go do that. And the reason why I say that is he allegedly had a whole fiance right when he met Lisa. And then all of a sudden the fiance was nowhere to be seen. No one could hear of her. And now he's in a whole relationship with Lisa. How you got him is how you lose him. I'm not absolving Jody of what he did or how he's moving. I'm not at all. He's going to get his too. Karma knows everybody's address. So Lisa, get your life in order before you are out here. And also, Lisa, you need to take a cue from Alexia. When your bestie is the toxic one, you might want to start having your own identity. Because Alexia this season basically was like Marisol, who you keep being the mascot for Larsa, see how far that gets you in life. Okay? Now, let's move on to Miss Lion Larsa. Girl. Is it me or is Larsa and Anna Marie from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills kind of same energy where they say something and then 2 seconds later they act like they didn't say it or who said that or you said that. I don't know if it's like she's actually lying consciously or if it's like a tick. I don't know what's going on, but this girl, every time she talks, she's lying. And I do believe what Gertie and Alexia said, that Lisa behind the scenes threatens the girls. And it's like, if you don't have my back, if you're not loyal to me, then I'm going to spread stuff about you. I'm going to tell your secrets. I'm going to do things to the press. I do think she says that. I don't think Alexia was lying, and I don't think Gertie was lying. You know what I mean? I do think that Larsa does that. I think she plays very, 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 very dirty. Also, let me take this thing off. Also, like you guys could see me. I was like, let me take this off. Like I'm on camera. Sorry, guys. So, also what's going on here is Marcus. So apparently Marcus had a whole hot damn breakdown, hissy fit against the ladies at the reunion. Now, Miss Marcus, I'm gonna need you to get your little panties out of a bunch. Okay, Miss Marcus? What I mean by that is this. It grinds my gears, like on a gut level, when men are disrespectful of women. And the way he was talking about the women, like these women wouldn't even be able to like wash the dishes in my house. And oh, I wish I could be up on stage. I was like, wait a minute, Marcus. Do you want a mojito? Like, do you want to hold a mojito? Like, do you want to be a housewife? Like, it was a new side of Marcus that I had never really seen before. And I was like, oh, so this is the real Marcus. He wants to be a housewife. You know how Nene called Peter Patricia on Atlanta? I'm calling Marcus Miss Marcus. Miss Marcus, you want to be a housewife? You want to be a housewife, Miss Marcus? Like, I can't even. I can't. It just kind of shows what I've been saying the entire time, which is I don't believe that Larsa and Miss Marcus, because that's what I'm going to call him from now on. I don't believe that Larsa and Miss Marcus are in a real relationship. I think they're in a agreement situationship. I think he wanted fame. I think he wanted to quote get out of his father's shadow. And I think that Larsa had no problem going along with their little fake relationship because she needed storyline. She needed a man, she needed relevancy. She needed a podcast host, whatever you want to call it. That's what I think is really going on. We already know that Larsa doesn't actually even really live in Miami. She lives in Los Angeles with her children. And then she also lives in New York when it's convenient. And she lives in Miami when it's time to film. And all of this was nothing but a little publicity stunt for both of them. Now, the fact that he was at this reunion yelling at these women, calling them out, like I also have a article I want to read, you guys. Let me find it real quick. But basically what I'm saying is Miss Marcus needs to sit down and have several seats. You don't get up here disrespecting women and think it's cool and it's okay. And the fact that Larsa thought it was okay, the fact that Larsa was big upping him, I'm looking at her sideways. I'm looking at her all types of crazy. Now, I do think that, one second, my phone. Okay, I found the article I want to read. Here we go. Okay, so Julia slams Marcus Jordan as, quote, a Nepo baby who's using the Real Housewives of Miami to leverage a career from herself and shares where she stands with Larsa Pippen. Now, that's what I have been saying forever, and now we're getting more confirmation from it, okay? This is according to Reality Blurb. She also revealed that they have feuded for years. She says, since leaving a communist country without a dollar to my name, I have had to work hard for everything I have achieved, said Julia, clapping back after Marcus's alleged reunion rant against the cast in an interview with Page Six. I will be neither belittled nor degraded by a Nepo baby who's using our platform to leverage a career from himself. During a reunion preview, Marcus shaded the cast for bringing up his father, Michael Jordan. He's like, my dad names keeps being mentioned, said Larsa to Andy Cohen backstage. Nobody asked about other people's dads and moms. And well, Andy commented, nobody else's dad is Michael Jordan. Now, I'm going to stop there to give my little 2 cents. So, the reason why I think Marcus is throwing this temper tantrum and why he's so in his feelings is because he feels inadequate to his father. Because everything he has is thanks to his father. He is a Nepo baby. The fact that he's even on the show, the fact he has the podcast, he has these weird little shoe fashion lines or whatever it is all through his father. His life, I'm sure, is from a trust fund. I doubt his little fashion companies are making any money. And I doubt his little podcast is making any money. So what else does he really have other than being Michael Jordan's son? And the problem is there is nothing wrong with being a Nepo baby. There is nothing wrong with having rich parents who subsidize your life. There is nothing wrong with that. What becomes wrong is when either through society or yourself or whatever, you wrap your identity and your self-worth into it. You can be a Nepo baby and know that you're still worthy and you're good enough and you are a good person and you just have a blessed life and that's okay. Or you could be a Napo baby and you don't feel good enough, you feel less than, and instead of finding something that fulfills you, you become bitter and you become angry, and then you become like Miss Marcus, who is out here doing stunts, because the problem isn't people bringing up your dad. The problem is you don't think that you're good enough. You don't think you're worthy. So when people bring up your dad, instead of being proud and like, yeah, that's my father and I'm proud he's my father and I'm his son, and because that's my birthright, I have all this great stuff, I'm so grateful to him. You throw a little temper tantrum, you get your panties in a bunch, and you start cussing women out because of your own ego, because of your own lack of self-esteem, because of your own insecurity. Because if I had a father or a mother who was like a Michael Jordan, and my life was subsidized by that, and I was a Nepo baby, I would be so proud, but I would also be so humbled, and I would be so grateful. And I'd be like, you're damn right, my father is Michael Jordan. Look what he did. Look the life he provided for me. And I'm so grateful for that. And I would live my life with my little trust fund, and I'd be happy as a clam. But that's because I would have gratitude and humility. But the problem is he doesn't have that. He's not grateful to his father. He's spiteful. He's not humble. He's prideful. That's why his little ego is so fragile. That's why he's backstage cussing women out, going on rants against women. Sit down, Miss Marcus. Sit down and have several seats. And also stop doing these stunts with Larsa. We broke up. Kidding. We're back together and now she has a huge diamond ring. Stop it. Stop with the stunts, okay? It's not going to make anybody listen to your podcast. It's not going to make Miss Marcus happen. Stop with the stunts, okay? And this is another thing. Not only is Marcus a bitter Betty and a spiteful son, he's also cheap as hell. Because don't forget, Larsa said herself, I don't have anyone. When she was talking to Alexia about Todd, when she's talking to Lisa about Jody, she goes, I don't have anyone. Excuse me, miss? If I'm going to be up here with my big old self dating this man who is Michael Jordan's son, I am providing a platform for him. Because let's be serious, in this situation, Larsa is his come up. Sure, he may be Michael Jordan's son, but I didn't know who the hell he was until he was attached to Larsa on this show. So quiet as kept, she is his come up. If I'm going to be Michael Jordan's son's come up, have him on my show, give him a platform, make him relevant in the pop culture world, he better be subsidizing my life. He better be. But clearly he's not, because she was saying how, well, you have a dual income household and I don't have anyone, when she's supposed to be in this, amazing relationship with Marcus. I can't go 5 days without throwing him a party. Separation anxiety, Marcus. But he ain't paying your bills. He ain't buying you stuff. He ain't flying you around the world. He ain't helping you out. But this is Michael Jordan's son? Don't get me wrong. I know my candy canes are smart. We're not nuanced Nellies. We are emotionally intelligent. I'm not talking about sugar daddy, sugar baby. I'm not talking about all of that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that, and if that's your life and that's your lifestyle, that's fine. I'm not judging that either. But that's not what I mean. Because I think as long as people are adults, as long as you are consenting, you live your life how you choose to live it. Other than that, I have no judgment on it. I don't judge. As long as it's consenting and you are adults, you live your life how you choose to live it. And I'm going to mind my business, and then I'm going to mind these reality stars' business for y'all. What I mean for that, but what I mean is, if I'm Larsa Pippen and I'm putting Miss Marcus Jordan on, because she did, let's be honest, she did put him on. I'm going to need to be Kris Jenner, and I need my 10%. I need my 10%. I need something. I need some type of kickback. I need something. But clearly he's not giving her anything. And these fake stunts with the diamond ring, she probably bought that for herself, or it's probably from her own jewelry collection, or it's probably a brand collab. But when a woman is upset and in her feelings and defending herself the way she was with Alexia and Lisa, and it turned out she was jealous that they had Todd's and Jody's, that's when she was the most honest. When she said, I don't have anyone, she meant that because he ain't really checking for her like that. Now, let's see what else. Marcus added, these women wouldn't be able to do the dishes in our home, let alone try bringing themselves in this conversation. Some people just need to stay in their lane. Miss Marcus, shut up. Like, why are you trying to talk? Like, these women wouldn't be able to do the dishes? Do you know how to do a dish? Do you? Do you know how to do a dish? If you don't know how to do a dish, be quiet. That's what I mean by there's a special place in hell for men who demean women. Before the clip was released, an insider told Page Six that Marcus had a heated moment backstage. The women did not hear what Marcus said backstage and didn't even know about the incident until after the reunion tape, said the source. But it was captured and the ladies have been made aware of it. In Julia's recent interview with the outlet, she said there was no resolution with Larsa at the reunion, and their conversations indicated that a potential friendship is unlikely. She claimed they are not on speaking terms. So this is code for whatever we saw that Marcus said and that was leaked is the tip of the iceberg of what this man actually said. That's what that is code is for. Because yeah, these women couldn't do the dishes in my house. That's weird and mean and derogatory. But I don't think that's enough for how hard Julia is going with Larsa and that they're not on speaking terms and that it was a rant. I think Miss Marcus is probably being protected. He probably said a hell of a lot worse than what we know. And then also, I just got a pit in my stomach at the reunion when he's backstage with Jody and he's like, oh, I wish I was on that stage. I wish I was up there. I was like, Miss Marcus, excuse me, ma'am? Like, why do you want to be on the stage with the ladies? You want to go on the stage and cuss the women out? Is that what you want, Miss Marcus? You want to be on the stage so you can cuss out women? Where they do that at? Miss Marcus, you need to sit down. And that's when I was like, his whole mask slipped. His whole mask. I give people a lot of chances, but when something big happens or you hear that something big happens, it really can change your perspective of the person itself, and I don't need to be around them, Julia shared. They're not part of my life. They never really were. We are not friends, and I feel like our feelings toward each other are pretty mutual. So that means he really said something really, really disgusting and really, really gross. Miss Marcus, have several seats. Your slip is all the way showing. We see each other. Bye-bye, boo-boo. Go get a life, okay? Go get a life. And that's another tragedy. When people have been given the keys to the kingdom, you know, you have a famous last name. You have allegedly oodles of money, whether that is true or not, because this is another thing I've realized. A lot of times these super uber celebrities that we think have so much money, turns out they really don't have that much money or as much money as we think. So maybe the trust fund is dry. Maybe the well has dried up. Maybe Michael Jordan put a kibosh on subsidizing the life of his grown-ass son. Maybe the money isn't moneying. Who knows? Maybe the trust fund, the well is dry. That's why he's on this reality show trying to cuss out women. That's why he's on this dry podcast that nobody listens to. That's why he's out here doing PR stunts with lying Larsa Pippen. Maybe the well is dry. Maybe the checks have stopped clearing. I don't know. But I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's get back to the reunion breakdown. Okay. Lion Larsa Pippen. Girl, just admit you had the BBL. In my opinion, you got the BBL. Admit it. You got a nose job. You got cheek fillers. You might have did a Stassi Stroder and even got some chin implants going on. You got your boobs done. You got the BBL. In my personal opinion, that's what I think. And I'm not body shaming. I'm just saying I think people should be more honest so people aren't idolizing something I'm not gonna say that isn't real, but that isn't naturally obtained. You see what I'm saying? It kinda takes the pressure off of people who are influenced by a person like a Larsa Pippen. Like me personally, she doesn't influence me. I don't wanna be like her. I don't wanna look like her. None of that. But but for people who may be younger or more impressionable or more vulnerable, I think the more honest we are about stuff, the less pressure it takes off of people like that, if that makes sense. Her versus Gertie. Team Gertie all day long. Lying Larsa. She lied and said she thought Gertie meant don't tell the press. On what planet, in what world, did she think that Gertie meant don't tell just the press and only the press for don't tell the press and only the press for what do you call it? About my cancer diagnosis. Girl, bye. Then Larsa also got up there and lied about then Larsa got up there and lied saying that, oh, Gertie never even told me to Alexia and all them. And Alexia came out and was like, no, Larsa, you lied to me and said she never said to not tell anybody, but we're seeing everything go down. Also, when Larsa went to Dr. Nicole and was like, oh, is she lying about her cancer diagnosis? Is she lying about her cancer diagnosis and all of that? She said it was a trick or a stunt. Now, ma'am, lying Larsa, on what planet do we think it's okay? And then she tried to play the victim like Gertie's attacking her. On what planet did you think it was okay to, one, tell anyone about Gertie's diagnosis, let alone on camera to multiple people, including the other girls and then your group of friends at a party? Number two, on what planet do you think it's okay to talk behind somebody's back and question whether or not they have cancer? I'm not talking about Brooks from the OC. We all knew he was lying. I'm talking about Gertie. Gertie. Behind her back. I'm just super confused. And then, third, on what planet does that make you the victim? On what planet does that not justify Gertie coming for your neck and your face and your fake tits and your fake boobs every time she sees you on sight? And then at the finale, being like, go worry about your health? Disgusting. Go worry about your health, Larsa. Your halitosis, because you look like your breath stank. Go worry about your health, Larsa. Go worry about Miss Marcus over here trying to cuss out women. Go worry about your situation. Go worry about your lawsuit, because you are in a lawsuit with Scottie Pippen's, I'll just say alleged ex-lover, who allegedly had his whole son, may he rest in peace, but you're implicated in a lawsuit of stalking, harassment, and people having sex with her without her consent. We know what that's called. You need to go worry about being sued out here in a $250 million lawsuit that you are implicated in. So yes, let Gertie, glory to God, she's cancer free. Let Gertie be happy with her health and her whole beautiful husband and her whole beautiful family and her whole beautiful life. And you go worry about this lawsuit you're implicated in. Worry about your children who are probably reading the same lawsuit I'm reading, the same headlines I'm reading about their father and their uncles and what they allegedly did to this woman. So how about you and Lisa go figure out your childhood wounds? What about you and Lisa go get a therapist for yourselves and your children? Because both of y'all got a lot of cleaning up to do. Because I promise you, if I'm implicated in a $250 million lawsuit against me and my ex-husband and other people alleging that him and his brothers did the unthinkable to a woman, I need to worry about my children. You and Anna Marie, y'all need to get together. Anna Marie from Beverly Hills, similar situation. Her husband being sued for having sex with women without their consent. So if I was a y'all, the last thing I would be worried about would be going at it with women on a stage for Bravo to collect the check, for NBC to collect the check, when you got some real life problems at home. You need to go check on your kids, check on their mental well-being, their emotional well-being. That's who you need to go check on, since you're so worried about Guerdy calling you fake, that you do a whole smear campaign against a woman who is battling cancer because she called you fake. I'm pretty sure that's not the first time somebody called you fake, Larsa, because you are fake. You lie and your body's fake. What's the problem? Go check on your children. Anyway, let's go to Gertie. Okay. Gertie, I love you, girl. I absolutely love you. I think she had a great season. I love that she was trying to normalize cancer. I loved how Russell was there beside her every step of the way. I loved how she kept her foot on Larsa's neck every single time she got. Every single time she got. I loved how she had her foot on her neck every single time she got. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I love that she was real. I love that she didn't let up. I have no notes. No notes for Gertie. I think she did a great job. She was real. She was honest. I also loved the way they handled telling their children the cancer news on camera, how Russell told them privately first and prepared them, and they didn't just spring it on them while they were on camera, that he told them privately. And then the moments where they did talk about it with the kids, it was very much like during bowling or playtime. It wasn't so like traumatic, which I think is good because they're going through a traumatic situation, but you want to make it as less traumatic for the children as possible. So I love that the way they handle that. And I love the way that she shows her children, but she doesn't do it too much. You know, some housewives, their whole storyline is their kids. And I get it, their moms, great. But I want the show to be about their lives and have their children just be an extension of them, not in a narcissistic way, but just in like a, just an extension of them, but not be them. So I love that she does that. I had no notes for Gertie. She came, she slayed, she stayed on Larsa's lion neck. She looked fabulous. Happy and health to her. I look forward for next season. I also loved when she was on, I think she was on Carlos King. She was on Carlos King's show, and she was saying how a lot of times when it's two Black girls or two Black and brown girls on a show, the narrative is always, do you want her or her? Right? It's like, oh, can it be Gertie or Kiki? And she's like, no, it can be Gertie and Kiki. And it's true. A lot of times they do that. Do you want Garcelle or Anna Marie, Garcelle or Sheree or whoever it is? And it's like, why does it have to be like that? Nobody's like, is it Marisol or Alexia? They're both blonde. We got to get rid of one of the blondes. That never happens. And so I loved how Drew liked that, because again, I think that's an unconscious bias that a lot of us have, where it's like, quote, seats at the table. Well, we already have one Black girl. We can't have two Black girls, God forbid, unless it's an all Black ensemble, So I do like she brought light to that, where it's almost like we subconsciously or habitually pit us against each other. It can't be two of them, but why not? We can have both. Now let's move on to Marisol. Marisol this season was much more subdued. I think she got the note that last season she was a little bit too messy with all of the rumors and the lies and the fake receipts and all of that stuff. People were out here. She was trying to be, this person's dating a married man, turned out not to be true. Dr. Nicole can't be trusted. She's sleeping with everybody in the hospital to get clout at the hospital. Not true. I think Marisol got the note to chill out. Julia came for her neck all season on behalf. The thing is, I don't even think Julia came for Marisol's neck because of Adriana, because we kind of saw cracks in that friendship. I think she was coming for her neck for storyline and because of what her ex told her at the dinner, because I definitely saw cracks with Julia and Adriana. Adriana was just like, this season, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm not going down with you. You are a friend of, I am the full-time housewife. Let me stand on my own, which I think was the smart move and the right move, because we got to see Julia for herself. She got to make, I might as well just do, I'm doing Julia and Marisol right now. We got to see Julia stand on her own 2 feet. She had her own identity. We got to see her be friends with Alexia and really tell her own story without being a mouthpiece for Adriana. I also love that Julia did not take the bait when it came to trying to introduce Anna back onto the scene and to bring in those rumors about Alexia and Todd and their finances and Marisol and all that stuff. I'm happy she didn't take the bait and that she didn't let Adriana throw Dr. Nicole under the bus, because I don't think Dr. Nicole knew that Adriana was basically setting up Alexia and Marisol with the whole Anna thing. I really don't think she was in on the plot. You could tell because Adriana got quiet, a little sneaky look on her face, like, okay, I'm just going to let this ride on out. And Dr. Nicole was out here crying and losing her damn mind and felt so betrayed and sad and distraught and all this stuff because she was like, they don't want to be friends with me. They don't like me. And it's like, girl, it's not that deep. The problem is Adriana set you up to be the fall guy. Alexia is jealous of you. And Marisol is just out here not knowing what the hell is going on. So I do like that. I do like the fact that, sorry, I'm getting hot, I'm taking my sweater off. So I do like the fact that Julia had her own identity along with Alexia. So let's move on to Alexia. I think last season, Alexia was angry, mad, bitter, going through it. And I think this season, Alexia was sad. She almost seemed like a Stockholm victim. I don't know what's going on with Alexia. I don't think things are good in her marriage. I don't think the finances are good in her marriage. I think that last season she was mad and bitter and it did not come across good, but this season she seemed shook to me. She seemed sad, she seemed stressed, she seemed shook, like something's going on. Again, I don't know, this is just my opinion. I think that her husband Todd promised her he had all this money, this amazing life. Maybe he really did have the money and something happened, because that does happen in business. And I wish this on nobody. So I hope I'm wrong, but this is just what I think. Something happened with the market, the money, real estate. I don't know. One bad investment, two, I don't know. Something happened with the money where the money is either frozen or gone or something. And he's not in the same position that he was when he promised her this life. And that's why they had to get out of that rented apartment so fast. I think she's very resentful that they rent and they don't own. I think she's very resentful for whatever financial situation they're in. I think their marriage is under a lot of stress. I think that he does not like her children. I think he likes Frankie, but I think he has issues with Peter. I think he has issues with their codependent lifestyle because, to be honest with you, Alexia's husband is her son's. Well, Alexia's husband is Peter, put it that way. I don't mean in a sexual way. I don't mean like that. I mean in like a psychological enmeshment way. They are so enmeshed and so codependent on each other that Alexia's man is not her husband. Her man is Peter. That's why her husband gets pissed off. That's why we have scenes where he's like, why are you going to his house to do his laundry? He's a grown man. Why are you still giving them money? Why are you still doing this? You guys need to be help. You guys need professional help. You are enabling this dysfunction. I think Alexia I think she's 100% comfortable in the dysfunction. I think she has no problem with Peter being her man. I think she has no problem with enabling her children and her sons. I think she wants to be the number one woman in her son's life at all times, as he's the number one man in hers. I think that level of dysfunction really messed up the dynamic of her marriage with Todd. I think they both feel like they got scammed by the other one. I think Todd feels like, I didn't get the woman I thought I was going to get. And I think she thought I didn't get the man I thought I was going to get. And I think they both are keeping up appearances. But I think it's a front. I think behind closed doors, they're probably fighting all the time. It's probably a lot of tension. It's probably not a really healthy, happy place. And I think they both feel like this isn't what I thought I was getting when we got married. That's what I really think is going on with both of them, and I think she's really, really stressed the hell out. And I think she has bigger fish to fry than being Marisol's sidekick. That's why at the reunion, she was like, when Andy was like, "Oh, who's the liars?" and all of that stuff, she was like, "Well, Marisol forgets a lot." And Marisol was all in her feelings. And we've seen the cracks in that friendship where Alexia is like, "I'm not fighting your battles anymore. You can speak for yourself. I'm not going there. Marisol, stop." Like, she made it very clear, "I'm my own woman this season. I'm not going down with a burning ship. I'm still your friend, but I'm not rocking with you the way I used to rock. I don't want to go down like this." We saw the beginning of this when they were on Ultimate Girls Trip. They're like, "Why do we have to room together?" and all this stuff. I think Marisol is still holding on to how their friendship used to be. I think Marisol feels very betrayed and she feels very sad. And she wants her bro back and like gawkies. Like, I think Marisol harkens for the days where they were thick as thieves, two peas in a pod. I think Alexia is like, "I got bigger fish to fry right now, boo boo." I'm trying to hold on right now. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. you know, I had to move out of this place I don't own in under 2 weeks. I have to pretend like my marriage is happy. I have to pretend like my husband still loves me. I have to pretend like the ship isn't on fire. I think Alexia has bigger fish to fry right now than being Marisol's sidekick. Whereas Marisol is still kind of in this sort of Peter Pan whimsical world, which is completely fine. She's doing spiritual ceremonies with her boyfriend, calling him her spiritual husband. She doesn't have children. She has money. She kind of has different priorities and obligations in life, which is fine. I'm not judging that. People make different choices. I personally don't have children, never will. I'm more of a Marisol vibe. I'm not going down that road. I don't want that responsibility of a children. Absolutely not. So I'm not judging her by any means because I don't judge myself for that. Like I always say, you're an adult, you decide how to live your life. Everybody else's opinion, be damned. As long as it makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody, live your life how you want to live it. So I'm not judging her for that. But I'm very well aware that they have two different sets of obligations and pressures. If I'm Alexia and allegedly my husband doesn't have the money anymore for whatever reason, if I'm Alexia, my adult children are still extremely dependent on me, especially Frankie for reasons out of his control. Peter, hot ass mess. Those are different sets of pressure and stresses. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that Alexia is moving differently than Marisol, and we've seen the cracks in those relationships. Now, I do like Alexia is growing on me more. I think that once she sort of puts the torch down for Dr. Nicole, which we kind of saw happening at the reunion when she was like, "I do want to get to know you. We should be friends. Like, there's no reason why we want to. Things just keep getting in the way." I think she was saying like Marisol or Adriana because to be fair, Adriana was a big reason why Dr. Nicole and Alexia fought this season because of the whole Anna situation. That wasn't Marisol's doing. That was Adriana's doing. So I do think that once she sort of puts that torch down, and I think there is a little bit of jealousy in that, a little bit of like, when it comes to Alexia and Dr. Nicole, I think she's like, Dr. Nicole is beautiful. She's young. She's rich. She has a husband. I think she kind of, she's kind of like the new Miami Barbie. She's kind of the new girl who has the private jets and who has the yachts and has this, that, and the third. Well, she's not married. She doesn't have a husband. She has a fiance. We'll get to that. But I do think there's a part of Alexia that kind of harkens back to like wanting that or having had that, right? So I like Alexia as long as she, keeps it together and stops being bitter and stop going after Dr. Nicole. Now let's get to Dr. Nicole. Okay, Dr. Nicole, love her. Love her, love her, love her. I think she's really beautiful. I think she's funny. I think she's smart. I think she's brilliant. I think she's genuine. I do think she was a bit set up with the whole situation with what do you call it? I think she was set up with the whole situation with Anna. I think Adriana did set her up. I don't think she was in on it. I don't think she knew what exactly was going to happen at the Mother Days brunch. I really, really don't, because I do think her tears were real. And I could feel in her when she was like, they just want to not like me. They want, like, they keep wanting me to, like, make myself, something that I'm not. And I always have to defend myself to be friends with them. When she was crying to, like, Gertie and Julia, I think that, to me, that was genuine and real. And I don't think she would have said that and felt that way if she was, like, in on some plot. I really think she was blindsided too, which is really sad. Now, when it comes to her husband, girl, I'm not a therapist and I'm not a doctor, but we all have a thing called Google. So we can look up, Freud, all of these dispositions. I do think she got in a relationship with a man who is just like her father. What I mean by that is this. She is in a relationship. I forgot what her husband's name is. Anyway, him. She is in a relationship with her husband, or her fiance rather, with a man who provides everything for her except emotional commitment. And that to me is exactly how her father is. Yeah, and what I mean by everything, I know Dr. Nicole is an anesthesiologist. I know she makes her own money. I know she is very intelligent and she is a doctor and makes her bank. Yes, I know that. What I'm saying is that she is with a man who has a lot of money. He's very flashy. He's very audacious, just like her father. Her father got his money, how he got it. He went to jail and prison and all that stuff. We get that. But they both, Anthony and her father are very similar. They're both very peacocky men. They like to show off their money. Whether it's let's go look at the yachts, let's look at the cigars, let's have the fancy suits and the houses and all of this. They're very flashy, gaudy, alpha mega men, right? And they both do love her, but they both are unable to commit to her in an emotional way that she's been needing her entire life. They're very, very similar men. I'm not saying Anthony is a crook or I don't mean that. I mean, like, on a Freudian level. They're very, very similar men. And the fact that he has not married her yet is the dysfunction and the dysfunctional relationship that she's trying to get from him that she never got from her father. Right? The father is very flashy, just like Anthony. They have all this money, right? But yet they can't actually commit to her and validate her in the way she needs. She can get up on this show and give every excuse in the book as to why she's okay. You know what I mean? Why she's okay with him not being ready for marriage and all of this stuff. But when you look in her eyes and you hear her voice, she's clearly disappointed. She's clearly embarrassed, and she's clearly making excuses. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's about her why Anthony doesn't want to get married. I do think he's in love with her. I do think that she's the one for him. I don't think he's out here cheating, and I don't think any of that. There are people who can love you but not want to be married. And there's are people who may love you or may not love you, but they don't want to be married to you. And these are different things. I think it's the first. I think Anthony loves her, but I don't think Anthony wants to be married, period. It's not that Anthony doesn't want to be married to her. I think he just doesn't want to be married, because there are people out there who don't want to be married. Doesn't mean they don't love their partner. Doesn't mean they're not committed to their partner. It just means they don't want to be married. So, ladies, listen up. If you're in a situation where you are popping out kids for this man, where you've been with this man for years on years on years, you clearly want to be married and he's not marrying you, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. The very first question is, do I want to be married? Is that a non-negotiable for my own mental and emotional and spiritual health? If that answer is yes, then you got to ask the second question. Does this man want to be married? Full stop. Yes or no? If that answer is a yes, then okay, you can move on, figure things out, go to therapy. If the answer is no, you might have to fold it in. Cash in the checks, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Because there will always be resentment in your relationship. There will always be a bitterness. There will always be a part of you that thinks, I gave up A, B, C, D, E, F, G for you. And that will always breed resentment on either side. Either her, because I think it's going to be her, is always going to resent him for not actually committing to her in the way that she needs to be committed. I don't care what you say. To be perfectly honest, you can have any type of relationship you want, but in our society, the highest level of true commitment is marriage. I'm not saying that that means people in marriages are happy and committed and faithful. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about in principle, the principle of it. In principle, the highest level of commitment is marriage. Obviously, there are dysfunctional marriages. Duh. I'm talking about in principle. And I think that when you are a person who wants that type of commitment and you don't get it, you will always resent your partner for not giving it to you. Conversely, when you are a person, male or female, who does not want to be married for whatever the case may be, and you marry someone to make that person happy, you then will always resent that person. I gave up A, B, C, D, E, F, G for you. That's why you have to truly be compatible with the person you decide to spend your life with. Compatibility looks like, I want marriage, you want marriage. I want to be married to you, I want to be married to you. Compatible. Not, I want marriage, I don't want marriage. I want to be married because married means I'm worthy and I'm this and I'm that. So I'm just going to make you marry me so I look better and I feel better about myself. That's not compatibility. Right? Also not compatibility. I want marriage. I don't. Okay, well, I'm going to pretend I don't want marriage because I would rather keep you than admit that I don't really want to be married. That's not compatible either. I know I went down a big old rabbit hole with this, but I think that I do think Anthony truly is in love with Nicole, but I don't think he is the person who wants to be married. I think he gave her a shut up ring. Shut up to her, shut up to the world, shut up to Larsa, shut up to everybody else. It was the whole thing with, having children out of wedlock and all that comments that Larsa said. And Larsa's disgusting. She's a disgusting person. To me, there's no such thing as a bastard. There's no such thing as a child not being worthy and valuable because their parents aren't married. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense, Larsa. Larsa needs to just go under a rock and wither away. Because that's so disgusting. That is so disgusting. What if there are children watching? Or not even children, people, adults. There are adults who still go to this world feeling not good enough and unworthy because they were born, quote, out of wedlock. Who gives a crap? There's a lot of people born into wedlock in dysfunctional marriages. Who cares? What matters is that you are here. So whether you were born in wedlock, out of wedlock, in dysfunction, not in dysfunction, doesn't matter. You're still worthy. You're lovable. You're good enough. You're not a bastard. That's just a term people use because they wanted to keep money within their own bloodlines. So in order to keep the money and property and the assets in their own bloodline, they started to dismiss and bastardize innocent children. There's no such thing as a bastard. There's no such thing as a child being less than because their parents aren't married. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. But unfortunately, that does strike chords in our society because that we've been brainwashed and trained to think that nonsense. When the only reason why people made up that crap was because they were greedy and they wanted to keep money and property within certain households. It's really all that's about. So no child is a bastard in my eyes. All childs are beautiful blessings. But I think he felt the pressure. And Dr. Nicole to be like, well, let's focus on, renovating and another baby cooking. Because this is the thing. I don't care how much money you have or you don't have. If you want to be married, you could go to the courthouse and get married. You know what I mean? You could go to the courthouse and get married. You could go to Vegas and get married. You live on a